Hey, everyone. It's Friday. You know what that
Yes.
means? What does that mean, Heather?
It means fun-filtered.
Yes, it means fUNfiltered.
Week.
Yes. So we are so glad that you are joining us. We have a few popping on right now, and I'm sure we'll have many that will come in and watch the replay or join us as we go along. But welcome back to our weekly fUNfiltered marketing talk for authors. For those who may not know me just yet, I'm Shelley Brown, and I'm really glad that you're here with us today.
Me too. I am Heather, and whether you're joining us live or catching the replay, we are so glad that you made the choice to join us here. This is a space where we have honest, practical conversations about what it actually takes to steward your book and message well without hype, pressure, or pretending that this journey is easy.
Right. We don't like to pretend around here. So not
No.
going to get pretending from us. So, and listen real quick, if these conversations are helpful, and we hope they are, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell. All right. And also give this video a like because that really does help.
Yes. Yeah. You may hear that often, but it truly helps. It helps this conversation to reach more authors who are trying to, maybe like you, figure out publishing and marketing without burning out or losing hearts.
Yeah.
And we love your comments and questions. They genuinely shape what we talk about here.
Yeah, for sure. And so let's jump in. All right. We're continuing our series, What Successful Authors Do That Others Don't. Okay. And this episode really builds on the last two conversations that we've had, the last two fUNfilters that we've
Yeah.
had.
So if you can think back, let's think back 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we talked about platform. And if you remember, we were very clear that platform isn't about being everywhere or chasing numbers. Again,
Mm,
hopefully that was refreshing and a relief for
yeah.
you. But truly, platform is about relationship. It
Mm,
is about building trust with real people over time.
yeah, for sure. And then last week, we took that a layer deeper and we talked about another critical shift. Successful authors treat their book like a message, not like a product.
Yes. And then when that shift happens, something interesting follows. The book often sells better because it feels like an invitation and not like a sales pitch.
Right. And so today's conversation is just kind of that next natural step. Because once you stop treating your book like a product, and once you understand platform as a relationship and not about the numbers, you stop trying to do this alone.
Hmm. Yeah, you stop focusing on how do I get more people to notice me? And you
Mm,
start thinking, who am I meant to walk with? Who already has the trust of the readers that I want to serve? That is where community and collaboration will come in.
right. So here's today's focus. All right. Successful authors leverage community and collaboration instead of going it alone. And
Mm,
this is another area that we talk about a lot, but we talk about it a lot because it really is that important.
yes. So this is not a side strategy. It's a bridge between platform and message. Community is how the message travels. Collaboration is how trust multiplies. I'll say that again.
Yeah.
Community is how the message travels. Collaboration is how trust multiplies.
Yeah. It's so good. And often when authors miss this step, they don't just feel stuck, they get exhausted. And it's because they're carrying all of this on their own. And it's honestly, it's just a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So let's be really honest for a minute. Most authors do not choose to do this alone. It just sort of happens.
Mm,
I think about it. There's so many parallels to just everyday life. Sometimes it's fear.
mm,
Sometimes Maybe you work really well alone. Sometimes I think it's a subtle movement as you're focusing on the work of your book. You write
Mm,
the book by yourself, you finish it, and then suddenly you're trying to figure out marketing all by yourself too.
yeah, that's so true. And when sales are slow or things don't work out the way that you hoped, the response is almost always the same. It's, see if you can relate to this. I guess I need to just try harder, right? So here's what we do. We post more. We
Mm,
tweak things again. We second guess everything. Um, but you're still doing it alone.
yeah. And really, over time, that is what will wear authors down. It's not the writing, it's not even the marketing, if you can believe that.
Mhm.
It's trying to carry all of it by yourself.
Yeah. And so here's the shift that successful authors make. And y'all, this isn't theory. We did some deep, deep research and deep dives on this to find out what it is that's has made authors, Christian authors in particular, successful with their book in reaching their audience and selling more books. And so this is one of the top things. And then we had a list of at least 10 or so habits that successful authors do. And so this isn't theory. This is something that many authors do who end up being successful. And again, what does success look like? That's a whole other conversation, but it's making that impact and selling the book and having the good traction with their book and getting their and stewarding their message well. So here's the shift that successful authors make with this is they make a very different choice. Instead of assuming to have to figure all of this out on their own, they start asking, who can I link arms with?
Yeah, that's so intentional. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that requires purpose. And they're understanding that their book will grow best in shared spaces, not
Yeah.
in isolation. So, this isn't about networking or self promotion. It is about showing up consistently in places where real relationships can grow.
Mm. Yeah. And so what community actually means, all right? So what does that mean? Let's clarify something right off the bat because community can sound super vague, right? So community does not mean being in 100 Facebook groups, right? It doesn't mean constant collaboration, and it doesn't even mean being full on all the time.
So, and you can all then just breathe a sigh of
Whew.
relief together. um, so, think about it this way: at its core, community means this for you. You are not the only one carrying the weight of your message.
Mm,
It's having people who speak honestly, offer perspective, they share opportunities, and they remind you why this work matters when you might forget.
yeah.
Okay. So we want to move into how successful authors will use community differently. We've got a few things for you to write down. Number one, they borrow trust instead of building everything from scratch.
Mhm.
So think about it. Successful authors understand something very important. You don't need a bigger audience. You need shared audiences.
Right.
They show up in places where trust already exists, places like podcasts and book clubs, churches, women's groups, retreats, online communities, you name it. The list is long.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that is not an all inclusive list by any means. But here's what's important. When they show up, they're not leading with, hey, here's my book, right? They're
Mhm.
leading with value, right?
Yeah.
And you may be thinking, okay, that sounds great, but what does that really mean? Well, Heather, we're going to share a few things of what that really looks like. So, Heather, you start us off.
Okay, so think about like a podcast. They answer questions thoughtfully, speaking differently to the audience's struggle. They share something useful, something listeners can actually apply all week.
Right. So those are just some ideas for a podcast. How can you bring value? And then what about a women's event? You're at a women's event and you're not just focused, successful authors are not just focused on selling books at that back table.
Yeah.
You know what they do? They stay after. They have real conversations. They pray with people. They listen. That is serving.
Yeah. Yeah. How about in an online community? A successful author won't just drop a link when they have something to promote. We've all seen that happen, and we've all been turned off by that.
Yeah.
A successful author will comment and encourage, contribute. They engage with the audience.
Right. They make space, they make that space better because they were there. Right.
Yeah.
And when you do that consistently, the book just becomes that natural next step. It's not something that you had to push, because what you're doing is you are earning their trust. Right.
Yeah.
Which is super important. And like I said, the next natural step is they're going to want your book. They want more from you. So number one was, let me go back to my notes here, they borrow trust instead of building everything from scratch. And then number two is they collaborate instead of compete, right? This one really matters, especially for Christian authors, because successful authors don't see other authors as competition. They see them as companions, right? They cross promote, they recommend one another, they celebrate wins, even if they aren't their own.
Yeah. I think that's what's amazing, because generosity almost always comes back around. But even when it doesn't, you can still rest, because we're not building for the applause. We're not building for the algorithm. We are stewarding a message, your message, before an audience of one. And when you've settled that in your heart, you are free to collaborate without fear, because your calling isn't threatened by someone else's success. When we think about it, when we focus on somebody else's success, that is when we feel that loss of audience. Well, there's not enough people for me to market to, or there's not enough people who will buy my book, because we're so focused on ourselves. But when we're focused on the message that we steward for our audience of one, then it's easy. So, okay. Number 3, they stay connected when sales feel discouraging. So when results feel slow, which they will at some point in time, results will feel slow. Unsuccessful authors tend to pull back. They stop posting. They stop pitching podcasts. They quietly disappear for a while. But successful authors will do the opposite. So when sales dip, they reach out instead of retreating. They ask others and other authors, what are you seeing right now? They will bring their numbers to a coach or community and say, help me look at this objectively. They may ask, is this a messaging issue or a timing issue, or just really a normal sales rhythm? They don't assume failure. They get perspective. I'm going to say that one again too. They don't assume failure. I think that's our default, right? It's something's not working and we just assume failure. They do perspective.
Yeah, so good. And they keep showing up in small, consistent ways. They send the email. They follow up with the church that showed interest. They schedule the next podcast interview, even when the last one didn't spike in sales, right? They don't let one quiet month, or 2 quiet months for that matter, rewrite the whole story. And this is where community becomes critical, because discouragement left alone turns into doubt. When that doubt begins to seep in, because then it turns into distance. That doubt turns into distance, and that distance turns into throwing in the towel and quitting. But when you have people around you, they remind you what's normal. They remind you what's working. And sometimes you just need to be reminded not to overreact.
That's hard. That can be really hard.
Seriously. So let's pause here for just a moment. Kind of heart check with this, because this matters on a heart level. God rarely shows up, or excuse me, not shows up. God rarely grows things in isolation.
Hmm. We see growth in community. We are shaped in community through
Yes.
maybe feedback or encouragement and walking alongside others. We see fruit in community. If
Mm.
your author journey feels more difficult than you anticipated, it might be that, or it might not be that you're doing something terribly wrong. It may just be that you're doing it alone.
Yeah. And again, that doesn't mean you're failing. It just means that this part of the journey was meant to be shared, not
Yeah.
to be done in isolation.
And truthfully, think about it. When you're in isolation, you have no perspective of what's happening around you,
Yeah.
just only how it affects you.
Yeah.
Okay, so a whole lot of information, but let's look at some practical next steps. So let's make this simple as we can. This week, we want you to ask yourself, where am I trying to do this alone?
Mm.
Who am I already connected to, but not fully engaged with? And what community could I step into more intentionally? So those
Mm.
3 questions. Where am I trying to do this alone? Who am I already connected to, but maybe not fully engaged with? And then what community could I step into more intentionally? So this may look like joining one meaningful author community, maybe reaching out to one author who you admire,
Mm.
saying yes to one collaboration opportunity, or simply showing up more authentically and consistently where you already are.
Yeah, I like that last one. Just simply showing up more authentically and consistently where you are. We can all do that,
Yeah.
right? So you really don't need more effort. You don't need more strategies or more noise. You need alignment. Focusing on the right readers in the right spaces. And we say that a lot, but it's because it's true. Just focus on the right readers in the right spaces. And you need people who will help you stay steady when your emotions are wanting to swing. That's what makes this sustainable.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, we want to leave you with one final word of encouragement. Hopefully, this encourages you. Successful authors aren't necessarily stronger or more confident. They still have doubts. They still wonder if this is working. They still have months where numbers are not what they hoped. But the difference is they're not carrying it alone. They've built real relationships around their message, right?
Mhm.
So,
That's really good.
Heather, do we have any comments or anything in chat? I can't see it on my screen, so let me go
We've
over
got a
there.
lot of hellos. Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Um,
everyone.
there's no questions in there, just some wonderful hellos. So,
All right.
yeah, if
Well,
you
if
have a
anyone
question,
has a question, feel free to
yeah,
drop it,
pop it in there real quick.
and Heather can answer it for you.
That's right. But what you want is Shelley to answer it.
All
We'll
right.
we'll have Carol and Sarah answer it. So
Yes.
send in their answer. Oh, well, no
Right.
questions. Looks like no questions.
No question, just saying hey. Well, we're so glad that y'all have joined us, and we love spending this time with y'all. So we will be back next week with another conversation on what successful authors do that others don't in this series. So be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss it. And I think next week it'll be Sarah and Heather.
Yeah.
Because Carol and I will be on the road. We'll be in Nashville at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. So, yeah, they're going to take it over for next Friday. So, Heather, why don't you
We
finish us
we
up here?
keep you guessing to
I
see
know.
like who
Who's going
who
to be
will
there?
be there. So,
No.
forever changing. So if you are listening today and you have not yet checked out Book Marketing Pro Academy and you're thinking, I know my message matters, but I don't want to figure this out alone, that is exactly why Book Marketing Pro Academy exists. So inside BMA, authors will find training, live group coaching, and really most importantly, a closely knit community. I think everyone that is on this call could attribute to that. Just the community that you build. In fact, I see Kathy, great info. BMA is awesome to join. So take it from someone who knows. We would love to have you join us over there. You do not have to carry this by yourself.
No, you do not. And you were never meant to carry this on your own. So y'all, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Same place, same time.
Yes. Have a great weekend.
Yes. Bye-bye.